Hello crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. In today's Ink It Up tutorial, we're going to create this fun card using Turtle Friends. It's the Turtle Friends bundle, and we're even going to put the little turtle on a wobble spring. So out of the cards I experimented with, this was the one I liked the most. Probably because the main color is Granny Apple Green, and it's one of the Brights. It's a color from the Brights collection, and those colors make me so happy, the colors from the Brights collection. Now, I also tried a couple other cards, but what you're going to learn from this tutorial, I hope you're going to understand that these are all the same cards. Meaning, once you learn this design, you know this design, you know this design. You're going to say, well, Paper Chef, these do not look like the same cards. They are the same cards, and I'm using a template that I used with a tutorial I had made back in for autumn. I think it was, I forget what the name of the bundle was called, but I made these cards back when I had leaves on them and this autumn paper, and there was this autumn trio punch, and I created this template for this card. So this template is the same. It has designer series paper, a piece of Whisper White cardstock, more designer series paper. The difference is, I add an extra layer to this one. This is just without the extra layer. And different color schemes, but they're all the same card, just different embellishments. I stamped them a little different, but I'll talk about the different color schemes. We'll show you how to color the other turtles too if there's time. But let's do the Granny Apple Green turtle. Like I said, it's my favorite, but we'll look at the other turtles as well. Give you something to look at. So I'm going to take the blends. I'm doing a combination in this Ink It Up tutorial. This, by the way, if you're new to my channel, my Ink It Up series is all about, I'm going to go ahead and tilt the camera a little bit. It's all about techniques. So when I do this Ink It Up series, I show you techniques on stamping, blending, coloring, that kind of thing. Sorry for shaking my tripod. I'm trying a new setup, so hopefully I won't shake anymore. And that's what this Ink It Up is about. Now, I also have other things on my channel, such as I teach about kits. I teach about the Brother Scan and Cut. So I do. It's all about paper crafting. And I'll say hello to everyone who's come in just a minute. I am live, by the way. So these were all the colors I experimented with. Actually, I experimented with even more than this. I'm going to use these colors here for this card because they coordinate with the designer series paper. So I'm going to stamp the turtles basically in this Memento Black. This is an ink you just have to have. It's just a great all-around sort of hybrid ink. I can use it with markers, blends, stamp pads. So I'm gonna do the outline of the turtle in this, and then I'm gonna do Granny Apple Green for these little shells, for the little shell pattern. Okay, and then I'm gonna use a blending brush. So just to kind of give you a highlighter level overview, because this designer series paper called Pattern Party did not contrast with the background very well, I'm going to use a blending brush and use some Pool Party. For the sentiments, I'm going to use Bermuda Bay and Granny Apple Green. And for the hearts, I'm going to use Pale Papaya because that's the card base, is Pale Papaya. Okay, so that's the step. These are the colors I'm going to use. So we'll put them down. I'm going to use some blends. After I do the stamping, I'm going to fill in with some blends because I wanted the whole turtle to be colored. So now this new turtle set, or this new style of set, I should say, doesn't have the pattern printed on the plastic anymore. So you don't put them back on the plastic. So I've used all the stamps. Well, I've used most of the stamps in my experimentation. I haven't played around with the bow tie yet, but that's going to be cute. I haven't played around with Hello Little One. That's going to be cute for baby showers. Okay, so I took them off of the plastic, right? Now you store them on the inside of the case. That's where you store the stamps now, just so you know. So we're going to take them off the inside of the case. I kind of like to go start to finish when I do an Ink It Up tutorial, kind of start to finish, right? Now you want to make sure that you don't bend this. Just kind of plop it down. Even though it's photopolymer, sort of plop it down. The reason is it goes with the punch perfectly. And if you bend it and twist it, then it's not going to fit with the punch. Now what I've done for... And these are my other colors I'm going to use later, if time permits. Or if not, I'll talk about these colors because this is what I use for my other turtle cards. Now, we're going to take a piece of silicone mat and we're going to get these strips of paper. So when you're using the stamping and punching, it's good to just get strips of paper Right? So after we punch, never try to punch before. When you have a turtle punch, this is, by the way, the Turtle Friends bundle. Don't try to punch until after you stamp, right? Because then you're going to be trying to stamp onto a shape, and that's going to be hard. So what I like to do is when I have a stamp that's that big, I like to ink it upside down and give it a little test on the mat first before I test it on the paper, and that looks good. The Whisper White or the basic white paper has better ink absorption than my mat there, so it should actually stamp better the first time around. All right, so we're going to stamp the big turtle. Now you can color it, punch it out and then color it. Okay, it doesn't matter, but I think I at least need to do the shell while it's on there. And then, we can color it after we punch it out. It doesn't matter. But I definitely want to do the shell while it's on a big piece of paper. So I'm going to take this for the shell. I'm going to use the Granny Apple Green. And to get these stamps open, you go like that and you flip it around. This bundle has become pretty popular. I see a lot of people, talking about this bundle because it's really good for all ages, right? Now what I want to do now is I want to get the shell pattern. We'll find a stamping block. Maybe this one will fit. By the way, that was a stamping block D, so this should be the C. So the turtle fits on a stamping block D. That means that everything is smaller than the turtle will fit on a stamping block D as well. So if you're going to get one stamping block with this, you would get stamping block D. But if you're going to get a bunch of stamping blocks, D or smaller will fit all the different bits and pieces. Now, I would have liked this to have been etched a little more. It's not, and so it's kind of finicky, and sometimes I messed up my stamp. I did a lot of experimentation. When I say messed up my stamp, I did something like this. It was, when I say finicky, I mean, in all my experimentation, see, it was doing this. I call that kind of messed up. So I was like, well, so to alleviate that, you got to kind of tap lightly. Okay? But I also want to ink it up real good. In other words, don't tap into the ink very hard, right? Don't tap into the ink very hard. Because if you do, it fills in those crevices. Okay, now that's what I wanted. I wanted to stamp off a little bit. And then I want to stamp onto the turtle. Now watch what I'm doing. I'm aligning this little turtle shell. Okay, see how I'm doing it? You just go over the top of it. Of course you could use the Stamparatus, but I'm going to be punching a lot, so it's just easier. Oh, I did mess that one up a little, but you can't really tell, and it's okay for that one. But we'll do it again. We'll do it again, you see what I mean? So we're going to go ahead and ink up the black part. Memento black. I'm going to still use Mr. Turtle. I like having extra turtles, but I'm just saying if you push hard on that ink, right, it does that. Okay? So don't push hard on this part either. I really wish they would have put a little bit bigger gaps between the little, see, it's doing that too. You know what? Let's try doing the turtle. Let's try doing the shell first. I'm going to try. Okay. I'm going to do the shell first. It's actually a little darker than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. And now I'm going to do the turtle. Then I'll get my perfect turtle. I'm going to line the turtle on top of the shell. That way I only have to worry about, I know my shell is good. And you basically, I'm going to only punch it out if I get a good one. Okay, so there's a good one, so I'll punch that out. So to use your little turtle punch, you're just going to get in there, look straight down at it. See? Get the perfect amount of white space. And there's my turtle. Okay? So we'll do it again on this side. Because you don't want to waste the paper, even if you messed it up. So, All right, well, now that I'm full on into my stamping, I can say hi to everybody. I always have to concentrate at the beginning to figure out my introduction. So, I'm going to put this under the silicone mat. So, hello, Susan. You're the first one to join me. Oh, no, it was Deborah from Buffalo. Deborah from Buffalo, New York, and then Susan joined in. And then Debbie J, who caught me on a live. Finally, awesome. Patty H. It is cute, isn't it? I mean, this turtle, this is my favorite little bundle. Well, maybe between this and the mermaids and pirates, I'm thinking these are my favorites. I like anything whimsical. I kind of go through the catalog and look for whimsical things. So I'm glad you think it's cute. And hi, Tina and Carmen and Susan is saying hello to everybody. Oh, she purchased this bundle and made her granddaughter some cute invitations to give her niece. Awesome. So they're invitations for play dates she's talking about, which is a great use for this stamp set because there is one that says like friends forever. So it's like she's giving it to the great niece, or she gave it to her granddaughter. Okay, hold on. You gave it to your It's hard when you write a lot of comments on here because it's hard to read them all, but so you gave it to your granddaughter who made invitations for your great niece. Okay, cool. For future ice cream and play dates. So what I'm doing is I'm stamping off onto the mat. Hi, Lorna. Hi, Michael. Actually, it's Kathy using Michael's account. Yep. And hi, Pansy and Candy. Awesome. Great crowd of you guys can all interact and have fun while I'm doing this if I can't look up. Okay, now this is the way I wanted it. That's what I wanted to happen. Because I'm trying to replicate this. And to replicate this card, I had off stamped. See, I stamped on here and then I stamped onto there. Okay, so now that's what I want. So that's perfect. I think I'm done with this. Oh no, I'm going to use this for the little Mr. Turtles. The little turtles are going to get that too. So we're going to leave the black open in a minute. We'll leave the Granny Apple Green open, and I'm going to go ahead and punch it out. I could color it while it's not punched out, but I kind of like to, it's the same concept with the scan and cut. I like to punch first, and I also like to cut out stamped images first before I color them, because then only if I punch it successfully do I bother coloring it. Who wants to bother coloring it and get through all that work only to like sneeze while you're trying to punch it, right? Or something and mess up the punch. Okay, you see how I'm using two hands, and always punch upside down. Always punch upside down, meaning always look at your punch. Never try to like punch, unless you're just trying to punch shapes. Okay, now, there is a little thing on here for eyes. You could do the turtle eyes, but I think wiggle eyes will be cute. You know, there's little holes here to make the eye, the outer eye and the inner eye. If that's all you bought, it's the turtle punch. Okay, we'll color both of these because they're both cute. And while I got the black open, I'm going to just go ahead and do the inside of the card. So the inside of the card is just going to be, I'm just going to stamp the turtles along the middle. And the designer series paper I'm using is called Pattern Play. And before you put the turtles in the middle, and I'm not gluing those down, but you always want to kind of lay them there as a guide. Right? And put your little turtles down. Something like that. And see, I'm going to have this, we're going to do something like, we'll do a happy birthday, you're turtly loved. Happy birthday. I might have to cut that part off a little bit. Yeah, I think I did last time. No, we know what, we'll do the belated birthday card. Maybe that'll fit better. It says something like, happy birthday, here, happy birthday, sorry I was slow. We'll do one of those, because I haven't done one of those yet. All right, so the sentiment will be in a different color, so I don't want to use the sentiment yet. Now we're going to put the little turtles down kind of evenly. See how the flat part is sticking up. Then I'm going to get the stamping block, and I'm going to go like that. Actually, let's tilt him a little bit. We're going to tilt them the same. Okay, so that's how you mount your stamps. You get them the right distance apart, and you mount them. Okay, and for this one, I'm using an H, stamping block H. But you didn't have to have a stamping block H. That's just an icing on the cake, right? To have a stamping block H helps you with doing positions like that. I'm just inking it, but you can get away with that same Stampin' Block D for all of this. Okay, I think I better turn it upside down to make sure I'm inking it properly. Okay. And I'm just using that piece of paper as a guide. I'm going to have to probably trim that a little bit to fit my sentiment, but we're just going to do the turtles for now. What I'm trying to do is close the black, because when I leave ink open when I'm trying to do my tutorials, I end up with like ink all over the place. All right, so we did the black parts. Now we'll get back to the granny apple green in a minute. So now that this has a chance to dry for a moment, what I did is when I was using the granny apple green, I decided to take this light soft seafoam. It worked really well to just sort of, this is what we're doing, sort of filling in just the shell part. We're going to blend, we're going to use alcohol blends of granny apple green for the head and for the feet and everything. But for this part, I just took the brush side of the soft seafoam and I just colored in the shell. Okay, so you may be wondering, oh, that doesn't run. No, it doesn't run because I gave it a chance to dry. Now, when I did mess with this right after I got done stamping, it did run a little bit. So that's why I was doing some other things and kind of killing a little bit of time, because then it doesn't run when I use the marker over the top of the regular ink, which is sort of a dye-based, water-based ink. Okay, and that'll dry and it'll look a little better. And I'm going to do the same thing to this turtle. Because why? Because we don't need 2 turtles, but I'm going to make 2 cards. Because I like this one better. No, actually I like this one better on the left. I don't know which one I like better. That's why we're doing 2. We're going to see which one we like better. Maybe we'll put 2 turtles in that card, because one of my cards I put 3 turtles on. So I'm just kind of going over the whole thing in the soft seafoam, and it's just nice to color in your shell that way. Now I'm going to use the blends for the head and the feet and everything. So for the blends, when I use blends, I like to start out with the dark color. This is granny apple green, and I'm going to use the thin side. Each of the alcohol blends has a thin side and a thick side. Alcohol blends are great for color, and you don't want to let them dry. So you don't want to do the whole turtle at once, because if you let the whole... I'm going to be doing that similar thing by putting the dark on the outside and light on the inside. Now I can go ahead and use the wide side if I want. I'm using the light granny apple green. Make sure you don't color in the eye. I'm going to use Pool Party for the eye. Or you could leave the eye just white, is fine. But if you're going to use brush side, you can do that for the head. But in the neck, the brush side might be a little bit too wide. Okay, so now I'm going to probably use the thin side for the feet. So now I'm going back to the dark. Let's make sure I'm still using the dark. Sometimes you just got to check on it. They look so close together. But I'm still using the dark granny apple green. Dark for the outsides. And you kind of just color in a little second like that. Like I said, granny apple green is part of the Brights collection. I said that at the very beginning. It just makes me happy, these bright colors. Okay, and that goes that. And then, so because the dark was the edge, so now I can take, either maybe we'll do the soft seafoam, just to make the little feet there. Maybe I'll just do that a different color. I'm using the dark soft seafoam, because I could have just used the light granny apple green like I did up there. I'm just making them a little bit different. Okay, so for this one, I'll probably let me try using for this little turtle, I'll use the light granny apple green. And for his tail. Now I'm going to start with the dark and blend it into the light. So we'll do this. Okay, I'm just doing it a little faster now. I explained what I was doing the first time, and this time I'm just doing it as fast as I would normally do it. Oops, let's get that colored in before I start doing the legs, because you don't want it to dry. It doesn't blend nice. It still blends even if it dries a little, but it's a harsh blend, and you want it to be a smooth blend. See how that's a smooth blend after it dries? You can't really tell there's too much dark on the outside. But if it dries quickly, you get a harsh... I mean, if you try to do the whole body, then you'll get a harsh blend. So let's do this. Doing the... I can do both feet at once, though. We'll do... Or both little legs. I think this guy looks like a tortoise. With the big old head. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so I'm happy with both of them. So I'm not sure which one I'll use, but I get the little... I like to use a little bit of Pool Party for the eye. I think I used dark Pool Party there, but I'm going to try light Pool Party for the outer part of the eye. I'm going to leave the inner part of the eye white. Okay, you can always... If you're going to use Wink Stella, now's the time to do it. Wink Stella is a little glitter pen. I mean, now's the time or any time to do it, but I'm saying you don't want to do it after it's wobbling around. It's easier to do it now. Let it dry a minute. It's nice to make the shells sparkly. So this is a glitter pen. Oh, I forgot the tail on that guy. I forgot his little toenails too. Why didn't you guys tell me I was forgetting his toenails? No, I'm just kidding. Here, let's... No, you know what? I did his toenails and his tail. I didn't forget those. They just came out too late for me. I used the soft seafoam. And the soft seafoam was way too light. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Granny Apple Green for the little... See, it was so light that I barely could get it when I used this color. Alright, now we'll do a little Wink Stella on this guy. And of course you could put a bow tie on him and everything. That is so cute. But if I was going to put a bow tie, I would stamp a bow tie and cut it out. Or use you can use your scan and cut for any, if you don't have if you don't have a punch, you could use your scan and cut. But since I have a punch, I'm not going to use my scan and cut. But maybe I'll use them in the future on those little baby turtles there. I love that they gave us the option of having the turtles facing each other like that. Alright, so this ink over here, which I've been scared I was going to get into, is what I'm going to now use for the shell. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make the shell in Granny Apple Green for the little turtles. Now there's only one shell, but it fits on both turtles. For the inside, the same pattern fits, which is nice. And for that, I'm just using the little stamping block A, which is our smallest stamping block, gives you the most control. And you're going to tap, 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 test it out, okay? Not just test it out, but I want to off-stamp it because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm going to bring it up here to the silicone mat. And I'm going to kind of I'm going to lean over it and stamp and punch and stamp into there. Okay, I'm going to stamp onto the mat because it's kind of dark, and I'm going to then stamp Mr. Turtle. Okay, so I'm very happy with those turtles. They came out. Again, the reason I don't mount the designer series paper first is what if I made a mistake, right? Don't mount your designer series paper until you're done all your stamping, because you need to know how much to cut this. Now this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. That's the card base, right? But this, see, that's not going to fit, so I'm going to have to trim off some of the hearts. These little pieces are 3.75 inches because I gave them a 1/4 inch margin. But I sometimes, like on this card, I did have to cut off some hearts a little bit. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of hearts. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, there's 7 rows of hearts. So we're going to trim off a row of hearts. So then the new size will be, so instead of 1.75 inches, which it was, right? I'm thinking it's going to be better to do maybe 1.5 inches. Or let's see. Maybe 5/8. Maybe 1 5/8. I'll write it down later after we decide what the final measurement is, because I'm going to do a few more of these cards after I get off the video. Okay, that might work. As long as I can fit this, see? Happy belated birthday, which I can. I'm thinking 1 5/8. Let's go ahead and write that down. That was for these little, that was for those two little pieces like this. Right, that's these little pieces. That's the size. But the actual size of the entire, this one, and don't mind, that's this white part. It's 4 inches times 5 1/4. It's your standard card base for your A2 card. I mean your card layer. Okay, and we're going to stick that right there. All right, so now we're going to take, we need that H again. We need this one. We're going to evict these little turtles for a moment. Put them over there. I would clean them and put them back, but I'm going to mount this. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to mount happy belated birthday. Right? And I'm going to use the Granny Apple Green ink. I'm going to test it. And it looks good. Okay? Make sure you test it. Always test it on the mat first before you test it on your card. And put that designer series paper there before you stamp. Number 1, it helps you as a guide, and number 2, you make sure you have enough room before you mount it. And if you mess up, you could turn your card upside down, right? But I didn't mess up. It came out nice. Okay, and there we go. And now before we mount this paper, I noticed when I was making this card that there wasn't a lot of contrast between the white background and this paper. So what I did is I inked it up with some Pool Party. So that's what we're going to do. I think I'm all done with the Granny Apple Green. Now I can close this. And we could take out the Pool Party ink. And we can use a blending brush. But you don't want to use a blending brush directly on your card. So you want to, for when you blend, you're going to, this is what we're going to use, a blending brush, right? We want to put some ink. This is Pool Party on a stamping block, any stamping block. Okay, that way you can tap into it and control how much ink you're putting on your blending brush. See? Because the first time you do it, it's kind of harsh. So you want to kind of do that. You want to either dip into there or dip into there. And then you can sort of blend around. See? Now it's giving me the color I want when I blend around the edges. And that's all I want. I want some contrast when I put this paper down. See what I'm doing? I'm just adding a little contrast so that because this designer series paper called Pattern Party, this designer series paper is white already. I didn't want to put it on a white background without any contrast, so I'm just doing a little bit of inking up there. These are the extra eyes for the turtles. All over the place, lots of little eyes. Okay, and I just want to do it on those edges there. Okay, and we'll put that, then we'll mount that. I'm going to do it again down here. And you can keep re-inking as needed. Touch it there first. Okay, I think it's good. Okay. Again, following that rule of never mounting until you're all done stamping, we need to do our little hearts. Because again, if we mess up our little hearts, or we mess up something else, we can, right, we're going to do the little hearts now. We can always flip the paper over, do it again. But after you mount things, it's hard to cover it. Then you have to start using gems and things to cover it. So we'll put that there for you to look at. That's what we're going for. We want to take out this little stamp, A, and we'll get out the little hearts. And we will put those on the A block, the little hearts, and we're going to make the hearts in Pale Papaya because the card base is Pale Papaya. Why Pale Papaya and why Granny Apple Green and all that? It's because these are the colors that go with this Pattern Party Designer Series paper. This Pale Papaya is one of the coordinating colors with that paper, and so is Poppy Parade's another coordinating color. So is Bermuda Bay. I'm just making sure my stamp works before I stamp right onto here. I'm not stamping off for this one. I'm just stamping right onto the paper. But always test. Anyway, so there's lots of coordinating colors, and I wanted to make sure that they work together. So this is Poppy Parade, Bermuda Bay. So I can right now use a card base of Poppy Parade, Bermuda Bay, Granny Apple Green, you know, anything that's going to match that designer series paper, coordinate with it. So we're ready to put this together, to assemble this. So I'm going to use I'm going to use a pale papaya card base. It was also the first color of my In Color Club, so a lot of you have that joined my In Color Club. I'm going to use the one that opens, by the way, to top. I'm going to use the top opening one because I like the way these open better from the top. And so this is a A2 card base, and a lot of you have it from the In Color Club. You have card bases. So we're just going to go ahead and put this piece onto here. So what I do is I'm going to first mount this onto here because it helps me. Before I mount it onto the card base, I like to put the little, this is Pattern Play or Pattern Party. And I like in this Designer Series paper, this Pattern Party, I like how on the other side of it, this Pattern Party is all black and white. Yeah, it's a great hostess offer, so thank you for bringing that up. I should have mentioned that. Oh, wow, lots of you have come in while I wasn't looking. Okay, so, hi, Tanya. I'm glad you found my channel. That's nice. And Sonia, Tanya and Sonia, awesome, rhymes. And Susan is saying, and Tina and Susan are both saying about the host offer. Okay, so I wanted to mention that you can only get this paper as part of a host reward, but you are a host. In other words, a workshop order. But you have a workshop order just by the very fact that if you have a $150 order, that is a workshop order. And there's even a special going on right now where you get extra rewards when you have a $250 order. But let's get back to the $150 order. If you have a $150 order, you automatically get 10% in rewards. And those 10% rewards would give you $15 in free stuff if your order is $150. And one of the things you can buy for $18, I think you'd have to pay the $3 difference, but the $18 is this is Pattern Party, and it has 48 sheets in there. It's just an awesome pack of paper. It's a huge pack of paper, and I've been using it for everything. And I'm doing this butterfly workshop this summer, and I'm going to announce it soon on my newsletter, by boot camp, and I'm going to include that paper for the supplies. And it's not really like a private class, like I'm just doing the class on YouTube like I do all my classes, but people can order the supplies. And one of the things you can order is some very rare, hard to find butterfly bijou paper, which is now retired, discontinued, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to be putting some Pattern Party in there and a bunch of other kinds of papers, both current and retired, just to give you a lot of supplies to make butterfly cards with. And the whole course is done. The Butterfly Brilliance Bundle. All right, so there you go. So that's that. I like it just like that. How funny. I mean, adding Designer Series papers, icing. I mean, what I'm saying is I like it just like that. Meaning I could have added the turtle, but what I'm saying is, of course, we're going to add the paper. And the way I face the paper is I like to face the little. I faced it up like these little bumps up because they look like the backs of turtles to me. That piece, and that's why I chose that piece. We'll put the hearts up there because I like, for this one I wrote, "You are turtly loved," so that's why I put the hearts up there. And because the other reason is because I like to put the turtle on this background instead of that background. So we'll do the wobble spring last. I'll show you how to work the wobble spring. We're gonna just put the paper on. By the way, I'm using Seal Plus. Seal Plus is amazing because this kind of adhesive has these little ridges in it, and it's easy to like come apart and everything. I mean, it's easy to lift up. See, because of the little ridges. Now we have another one called Seal, and I think it's harder to work with. But I work with the Seal Plus. Much easier to work with. And I'm just putting that like that. And then I'm going to add, so the reason I really like this pattern, and I used it for a lot of autumn cards, is because you hardly have to use any Designer Series paper. And you can get like so many little pieces of Designer Series paper out of one sheet. And they're only 3.75 inches, and you can still have the border. You can still stamp in the middle of your card. It lets you feature a couple of kinds of Designer Series paper, one or more, and then it also just, oh, I like him, and I like him too. Gosh, I like them both. Which one should I use? I'll just use this. I mean, they're both cute. I'm going to use them both, but we'll just use the darker one. So for the wobble spring, which I have linked in the description of the video, They make a couple kinds of wobble springs. I have them both right now in the same big bag, so I'm going to show you. I'm using the mini ones though. So I'm using the mini action wobble springs. Okay, but they make this other kind. Now to use this other kind, it's hard. I don't think this other kind will fit. Right? These are cheaper. Believe it or not, the bigger wobble springs are cheaper than the smaller wobble springs. But you can't hide your turtle behind there, right? You need the smaller wobble springs for the turtle is to fit behind there. Actually, it's going to go like that. I'll show you how to use the wobble spring. But it's weird that the ones that are bigger are cheaper. I've always thought that was strange. Why is that? So what you do for the wobble spring is you're going to take, there's like a hard part, and I put the hard part on the object I want to wobble. I just figured the hard part is more stable. So this is like a harder plastic, and then this is like flimsier, and I put this on the actual card. Now people tell me when they see my thing, they're like, why don't you make your own? It's like, I don't have for that. I don't have time to make my own wobble springs. I love the concept, and go ahead and make your own wobble springs out of wire. And we're crafty people. We can make our own wobble springs. But I just like buying them. I use so many of them. I put them on cards and 3D items. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking the backing off. Now that's the flat part. I'm putting that on the paper. Okay, so you're gonna get it the way you want it to be. So don't mount it like this. If you want your turtle to be like this, like when you stick it down, it's gonna start to wobble. So you want to put it right down, right where you want it, in other words. Let's see what I did for this one. I think I put it so the turtle was sticking into the white part a little bit. Yeah, I did. See? Oh God, I can play with this all day. So I have it up higher. So we're gonna put it up higher a little bit like that. Maybe over a little bit. See? So now I put it there. Now I'm gonna push it to get it to stay tight, or to get it to stick. Because now that I'm getting that little part to stick on the bottom. See? That part. And now you have an interactive card that wobbles. Super, super fun. I mean, it's just so much fun. And you can put it, I use this mostly for boxes, but I use it for cards too. So happy birthday, you're totally loved. And then we have happy belated birthday, sorry I was slow. Oh, that's going to bother me, the lowercase I. I tell students all the time, capitalize your I. Stampin' Up! You should have capitalized the I. Anyway, here's the inside of the card. There's what I did. It's time to celebrate. You could put it's time to celebrate in the back of the turtle shell. But I thought, why put it's time to celebrate in top of the turtle shell? Because when you got this such a cute pattern to put in top of the turtle shell. And then I put more turtles in the inside. So we can do that to this card too. Now let me show you my other cards. And since it's only 38 minutes, I'm just going to show you how I colored these now. I'm not going to make these cards from scratch because these cards are the same as the cards here. They're the same design, just different papers and everything else. I'll explain what I used for the papers. And because of I didn't have to ink this up because there was good contrast between this design series paper and the background. So let me show you how I did this one. And then I can show you how I did the other card as well. So we're done the whole tutorial though. I showed you how I created that card. So we finished that. Now let's still just do a couple. We're just going to talk about this one, the Just Jade. So I'm calling this my Just Jade turtle card. I only used a couple different colors for the entire card, except for black. I used black. I used Just Jade. Okay. And I used a little bit of, so I used the light Just Jade, the light Soft Succulent. This is Soft Succulent. This is an in color from last year. In colors stick around for 2 years. Just Jade's an in color. Soft Succulent's a new in color. My in color club just got Soft Succulent this month. So I wanted to definitely feature something with Soft Succulent. And then I used Mint Macron, okay? Mint Macron is what I used to color in the turtle for this part. So I'm just going to do that real quick because some of you didn't get to see how I colored the turtle using stamping and blending together. So what I want to do is, there's this little thing called a chamois, and I just love using it to clean off stamps. It does look like a hot mess, but it really does get the ink off the stamping blocks. It really works well. And it stays wet like a ShamWow. But it's like a Stampin' chamois. So we're going to put that turtle back on here. And we'll make a black one. And again, just get out your strips of paper that you've cut into 2 inches already. And you're going to use the Memento Black. And we're going to just stamp a turtle. Actually, we'll stamp a couple in case we mess up. Sometimes I'm inking up in the air because of my tripod setup. I don't want the whole table to shake. But I would recommend more like you ink like this. You put your stamp block down, you turn your ink over, and this is a felt pad, and you ink that way. That's what I would do. All right, so that's good. I got the black done. Now we're going to take the Just Jade, and to clean that off, this is the back. This is the shell. I'm going to use the chamois, the Stampin' chamois. See, I'm getting rid of the garden, no, not garden, granny apple green. We have so many kinds of green. We probably have like 10 kinds of green. It's unbelievable. So now I'm going to take the Just Jade. So before we talk about blends, we're going to actually, here, we'll put that there so you can see which one we're doing. We're going to open up the Just Jade. And we're going to do the stamp off again. So I'm not stamping directly on it. I'm stamping off, meaning I'm stamping on there first because it's a very dark color because it's a new, kind of a new stamp pad. Now there's also, one of the reasons we test is because, see, there could be stuff on our stamp pad, and there is. Right? There was a white piece of dust on there. So that's another reason we stamp onto the mat first. And then we stamp onto the paper. Because we don't want to mess up our actual Whisper white paper. Right? But we can mess up our mat all we want because that's not, you know, they're not expensive or anything. Well, either is the Whisper white. I'm sorry, I better not call it Whisper white. It's really called basic white paper. Called basic white now. Okay, good. I like how they both came out. So that was Just Jade. So what I did is I stamped in Just Jade and doing an off stamp, meaning that was like a second generation stamp where you stamp once and you stamp off. Now what I'm going to do is fill it in. So for this card, I used these colors. I used, for the blending part, I used the light Just Jade and the light Soft Succulent. But for the actual filling in the back of the turtle, I used the Mint Macron. And I tried doing it both ways. For this one, I did the dark Mint Macron on the outside, right? But for this one, I just used Mint Macron on the whole inside. I don't think it needs a little outline, although I kept it when I did those 3 turtles. I don't think it needs it. And then I ended up not putting Wink Costello on the whole thing because I didn't want to cover it up. So I just put it on. So I'm just going to use the Mint Macron. Anyway, Bree, you're not late. You can always go back and watch it. And always go back and watch it later. Same with you, Linda. And Debbie, yes, please case the cards. I'm giving you all the measurements. Hi, Caroline, too. I give you all the measurements so you can case the cards all you want. I try to give you the measurements. It takes me so long to do. You know what it is I really like doing videos, but I don't like writing descriptions. That's why my next class, I'm not even doing, I'll probably do descriptions, but what I'm saying is I'm just going to do it video based and like share the links with everybody and be like, please see how to make these cards on the video. Because to write up the descriptions, it's not like I don't mind doing them. It's just that I'd much rather make 10 more videos than create one PDF handout. Okay, see how that blends see how it gets rid of all those sort of dark spots. So that's why in the title I was talking about stamping and blending. So we stamped, we let it dry a minute so it doesn't run because we also use the off stamp so it's not wet. Now we're using blending, we're using these blending Stampin' blends they're called, and these alcohol markers, and what that does is it gets rid of all the little, see this little speckles in the, it's just a smoother shell now because we're filling in all those little gaps and it just looks like really cool. I think it looks cool. And like I said, I experimented with different kinds of greens. I put a couple greens away and ended up not using them because they didn't work. But these greens are all the ones that ended up sort of working for me in some form or fashion. So now what I did is I tried it both ways. I tried the Just Jade and Soft Succulent in both directions. Ended up, believe it or not, with the soft succulent, the light soft succulent on the outside ended up working better for me. And again, it's a personal preference. Usually you take 2 of the same color and you blend them, but when I tried to use 2 Just Jades, the Just Jade was way too dark. The dark Just Jade. So instead I'm using the light soft succulent And I'm using, here, let me just show you. Over here is the dark Just Jade. That was too dark, right? But now I'm using the light soft succulent and the light Just Jade. And that seemed to work. And then I had to go back over it with the soft succulent because these colors are from two different sets of markers. So they are going to be, see, there's a little bit of a harshness there. I have to go back over it with this light soft succulent. Or one trick I like to do when I'm blending, instead of going back over it with these soft succulent, you can go back over it with any lighter color that sort of matches. And then there's like less of a transition between those two colors. But that ended up working for me. So I do the dark. I'm doing the soft succulent and Just Jade. I never even checked if they went well together. I just tested them and they looked well. They looked good to me. And when I say checked if it went well together, the way I usually find out if colors go well is I just say, oh, are there any designer series papers where these two colors appear together? If there is, they're coordinating colors. But I haven't even checked. But they're from the two In Color families. Like I said, one is, or the In Color collections. So the Just Jade is from last year's In Colors, but they're around for one more year. And then the Soft Succulent is this year's In Colors collection. And that's what this month, most of you got sent Soft Succulent, but the blends were on back order. Actually, the ink was on back order and some of the blends. There was a bunch of stuff on back order. But so a few of you got Fresh Freesia or Polished Pink, like another color, because I didn't have all the regular kits made for this color. Oh, I like them. And then I'll just do something with this. Let's do his little toenails. Are they called claws? It's a turtle. We'll just use some mint macaron, just something different, just so. That's actually too dark. I should use the light mint macaron. Next time, I'm going to use the light mint macaron. Here, let me turn that over so you can see. We'll do it. Wow, something's dripping out of this one. Yeah, that's a little better. I don't want it to be too light, but the other one was like, I think that other one was too dark. Okay, now we're going to do, and I'm going to do the eyes and Pool Party. So we'll do Just Jade. Soft Succulent was the outside. Soft Succulent. So I'm going to use everything I just did here. Like I'm going to make cards with everything. I'm just going to make more of the similar cards with that same pattern. The A2 card is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card with the layer of the white layer that I made. The basic white layer was 4 by 5 1/4, and then you can always put that extra layer on your cards, like I did for this first card. Like this was just 1/8 of an inch smaller, where this white one was 1/4 of an inch smaller. So that's just basically the layering of an A2 card. It's so simple, and that's what I'm going to be doing with all these turtles. Is just making a bunch more A2 cards. Oops, I better start coloring before it starts. I'm yapping, and if I go too far, it won't dry. So what you want to do is you want to get in there. I'm using the light Just Jade, but see how dark the light Just Jade is? Imagine how dark the dark Just Jade is. It's much darker. Now see the harsh transitions? Because I was yapping, and now I have to go back over with a lighter color. It's no problem. Whenever you're yapping or you forget, you just go back over with a lighter color and reblend to get them to mix again. It's not a big deal. It works. Okay, so there we go. So always color like one little section at a time. Now we're back. Where were we? We were back to, I should have done Soft Succulent on the outside, but I didn't really finish, so now it's good. Soft Succulent on the outside here. And then I'm going to do the Just Jade on the inside. And then for those, I didn't use the Wink of Stella on the whole shell like I did for the Granny Apple Green turtle. I used Wink of Stella, and now I go back over it with the lighter color. I just used Wink of Stella on the outside, so because the pattern, I didn't want to hide that really cool pattern. I'm going to put my little blends back. So these little blends trays we sell, this is called our Stampin storage. And I love the Stampin storage. And I usually stick the thick side sticking out. And there's the soft succulent, and then there's the Just Jade. So again, I used mint macaron, soft succulent, Just Jade for this really cool turtle. And then I should have punched it first to make sure I punched it correctly, so we have to be careful punching it. And we're gonna use a little bit of Pool Party for the eyeball. So I might use some Wink Estella on, the eyeball, and then on the outer part of the shell like I did here. And you see I did 3 turtles. But you can just do 1 turtle, it's cool. Now for that paper, let me go ahead and let me concentrate on punching so I don't mess up the punch. But on this paper, the one that I did, the Just Jade, I'm going to call it I'm calling this my Granny Apple Green turtle, my Wobble Spring turtle. This is my Just Jade turtle because it's mainly Just Jade. Okay, so that's what I'm calling my Just Jade turtle. For that one, I used a paper called Sweet Symmetry. Oh my gosh, do you guys remember the name of it? Something with symmetry in it. It's designer series paper. It has all kinds of flowers in it. But on the other side of the flower pages, the symmetry paper has like that really cool Just Jade pattern. So that's what I used. But the others had all flowers on it. And I didn't want to use the flower side. Okay, good. I got it. Because I didn't want to have to do all that coloring and then have to go back and be like, you mess up because of the punch. Oh, you should probably punch before you color. Because if you mess up your punch, you didn't waste time coloring. But it's all just ink. It's all good. So that's that designer series paper. And that I just used the same paper on the top and bottom because it matched so well. And the other paper, like I said, had flowers on it. Now, I could have gone into this paper I have called Forever Greenery because that has some Just Jade in it. But that was too much of a foresty type of thing. And I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want it to look like, like a jungle or forest. I was trying to go for just sort of a generic look. Okay? So that's my Mr. Turtle. And then the last step on that one, I'm not going to make that whole card. I'm just showing you how I made it. I want to show you how I colored this. And then I'm going to show you my last coloring technique in just a moment. So I put Wink Estella just around the outside for my Just Jade turtle and on the eye. I didn't put it around the whole shell like I did for this one because I really thought that covered up a lot of the pattern and I wanted this really cool pattern to stick out more. Now for this one, let's see if I did the inside. This is my inside. I put the bird on the back of the turtle. Okay, and then I put and I left the turtle blank because I'm not sure if it's going to, like maybe it's a birthday card. And I could put, let's celebrate, right? Like I did here for the celebrate. Like for the inside of this one. See? It's time to celebrate. So if I left the inside of this turtle blank because I wasn't sure what I was going to use the card for yet. But I can put it's time to celebrate inside there. So that's what the inside of that one looks like. Let me just finish the Wink Estella. I'm going to show you my old olive last. And then we're done. Okay, I'm going to show you this. I'm just going to go around. And finish, I just want to finish my little Wink Estella. Okay, so good, we're done that. Now we're going to take our chamois and we're going to clean. We got our hearts, we don't need them anymore. We're going to just clean that shell because we need old olive now. And I'm going to bring in the last card. So we're going to move this set of blends. I don't need this set of blends anymore. We're done with that set of blends and I have another set I used. Okay, which one? This is Granny Apple Green. I got some hitchhikers here. I don't know. I have this is the set I use for my things are rolling off my table. So for this card, now for this, so again, that was the Sweet Symmetry, I'm pretty sure I called. Thank you, Tina, for your comment. And hi, Carol from Connecticut and Rat from the UK. I'm glad the tutorials are helping you. Okay, this one, I'm going to show you this one. So again, that was Sweet Symmetry. Now this one, I used the Beauty of the Earth. Okay, I used the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. I found the lightest piece I could. I was trying to go for this. I was trying to stamp onto the paper. And I mean, it wasn't the actual lightest piece I could find. There's probably a bit lighter. But what I was trying to do is go for the dark down here for contrast. See, there's a few pieces in the Beauty of the Earth. This is Beauty of the Earth. There's a few pieces that are light. You can stamp let's celebrate on. Or it's time to celebrate. Now for the happy birthday, I was going to stamp right onto the white paper. And you can. And that's fine. But I just thought it would look cool with a piece of soft sea foam. Okay, so now I'm using soft sea foam and old olive. So that's the last turtle will color. And then that's how I made that card. I use soft sea foam for the shells. I use soft sea foam for these little swirlies. I use a piece of soft sea foam designer series paper for happy birthday. It's time to celebrate. And I use this piece of Beauty of the Earth. Okay, so that's how I made that card. Now you know how I made all the cards. They're all made the exact same way with the exact same measurements. But they look way different because of the coordinating colors of the different things that I used. Okay, so we've cleaned the turtle shell. We didn't need to clean him because he's black, so we're just going to get a piece of paper again. This 2-inch strips of paper are easy to use for when you're making your turtles. And it was a little wonky when I punched, so I want to just lay it back down. I'm going to have to try not to bend it when you lay it back down. Just kind of lay it back down because it's photopolymer and it should fit exactly with the punch. But if you start twisting it, it won't fit in the punch anymore. Just keep that in mind. Okay, I think I just used it, so it should be inked up well. I shouldn't need to stamp onto my mat. Oops, I already messed up that side. When you slip, that's what the other side of the paper is for. Yes, very nice. We're just doing another one in black for good measure, only in case I mess up the shell. And we don't want, and then I can put the black away. All right, they came out good. I just love this turtle. I mean, he's crisp, he's clean. He's just an easy to color. I like when there's big sections to color, easy sections to color. So we are doing this card now. So the colors I used were, let's put this guy over here. Put that guy, we'll put him over there. Okay, the colors I used is I used Old Olive for the base of the back of his shell. So we're going to use Old Olive for this. And then I used the soft sea foam again for the inside of this one, because I just thought they went well together, the soft sea foam and the Old Olive. The soft sea foam is like the lightest green I could find. Now the Mossy Meadow was way too dark of a color. I thought way too dark of a color, even the light one. And what I'm trying to do is just kind of, my Old Olive's already light because I use it a lot, and I do have a re-inker, but here it's just. Make sure I stamp well. Okay, it's stamped well. And now I do want to stamp off, so that was okay that I did it. Not just a test, but I wanted to get some ink off of here. Yes. Came out. I like when it comes out nice the first time. Okay, we're stamping onto the paper, and I'm using that silicone mat. If you don't have a silicone mat, you can just use any. Just make sure your table's not. See, I don't like when it does that, but I like this one better. Just make sure your table is flat, or you can use like a baker's sheet or something, but I like using these as silicone mats. I use it for mixing and crafting and all the mixed media I do. All right, so that's all there is to that. So we're going to take the soft sea foam. Just take the light one, take the light soft sea foam, and you can go ahead and take the brush side and just go everything. I'm going to make sure my ink was dry first. If you do it, oh yeah, my ink was dry because I did off stamping. If you're not doing off stamping, and you're, like I stamped onto here first, right? And then onto my turtle, then you better wait for it to dry a little before you start using your blends, because you're going to be like, Paper Chef, my blends ran. They got all over my ink. Well, that's because you didn't wait for the ink to dry. I do hope you do try this though. Okay, so that's all there is to that. And then for the legs and the head, I just went ahead and used, what did I use for that? Oh, I just used both of the, I didn't even use Old Olive. The only time I think I just used Old Olive for the toenails, or claws, or whatever you want to call them, right? We're going to call him toenails, even though he's a turtle. And they don't really have toes. But we're going to still call them toenails. And then we're going to put the little tail. And then for the rest of it, I used this soft sea foam, light and dark, for the rest of the blending of the head. So I just kind of look at what I did for a guide. And the reason I like to repeat what I did is because I had a lot of epic fails along the way. Colors that just didn't go well. And so I like to, when I finally get something to go well, I like to repeat it. And then I share it with my crafty friends. And I'm like, hey guys, guess what? Now, it's not that this is the light soft sea foam, but it looks darker because the other one is running out. Now, we used to sell these individually, the blends, and now we sell them in pairs. So it's kind of like my dark one is lighter than my, Here, my dark one is kind of running out, so I have to use this side. See, that not the whole thing's running out, just the fine tip point. So I'm gonna have to use this side, see, because it wasn't really blending. I'm gonna go ahead and go back over that. I'm gonna use the brush tip side, but you gotta be careful with the brush tip side because this is a small area to color in, right? It's not like. Okay, now we're gonna go back over it. Go back over that with the light color. Actually, you know what? It's a little easier to color before you punch it out, and it doesn't take that much time to color it, so it's okay to color before you punch. But definitely with my scan and cut, I definitely recommend coloring afterwards, because if you mess up your cutting, you're more likely to mess up the cutting on that than you are with a punch. I'm just using Pool Party, by the way, if you came in late. I use Pool Party for the eyes. You're not really likely to mess up punching, but it's like, it's up to you whether you punch first or last. The paper's more stable to color when you don't punch until the end. But then again, you don't want to do all that work and color and then be like, oh, I messed up the final stage of just punching out the shape and it was all colored perfectly. But then, you know, you can always use the head for something. Like if you ever mess up your punch, you can always just make the little head stick out, or if you messed up the back of it. So he's cute too. So that's the old olive one, and it looks better. Oh, I guess I didn't do the off stamping. I must have used old olive directly on there. Whereas this one I did it like off stamping. But either way, that's the one. And it comes a little darker when you put that. Now I put Wink Stella all over the back of this one, because I thought it looked really cool and it made the shell stick out. And then you could put like the little eye too. So that's how I did this card. Let's see if I put any. I didn't put anything on the inside of this card. So that's my old olive, and there's my old olive. So this is old olive. Let me just put these back together. So my combination for my old olive one, and I'll try to put this in the notes, is old olive and soft sea foam, and that's the card. And Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. Okay, this one is Just Jade, Mint Macaron, and Soft Succulent, and it's Sweet Symmetry Designer Series paper. And then these ones are Granny Apple Green, and there goes the Granny Apple Green, it fell off. Granny Apple Green, and again that Mint Macaron, and the paper is Pattern Party. So I hope you enjoyed how to color all these turtles in different ways, how to create this card with the little turtle on a wobble, how to color with the blends, and how to stamp, and how to use a combination of stamping and coloring, how to assemble the card, and there was other little tips and tricks along the way, like how to mount your stamps, how to clean your stamps, and how to put your stamps back into these new cases, which we're just putting them straight back on here now. Like after you clean them, you're putting the stamps right back on here like this, inside the case, not onto the plastic, because when you do, there's no design on the plastic anymore. You're just putting them right back into the case. Turtle Friends is available now, and it will be available until for a year from now. I mean, it just started in May, our new annual catalog, and so it'll be available till next May or next April. I mean, a very long time. It's gonna be available for a very long time. But if you want to get Turtle Friends bundle, you save 10% when you buy the punch with the stamp set. Go ahead and check that out on my website, linked in the description of this video. Thank you all for watching. Joanne, thank you for your comment. Oh, good. And I'm glad you got your pale papaya, Katie. I think I already sent your next color already. So you already got your soft succulent on the way. So awesome. Good. I'm glad you joined my In Color Club. And Diana, thank you, Bree. And thank you all for coming. All right, that's all for now. This is the Paper Chef. I appreciate you watching. Go out and play with some turtle friends today.